Alright, welcome back. So if you saw my previous video, we create this character from scratch. So go back and watch that if you want to create this character. In this one, we're just going to add some lighting and paint it. So in the last video, when I sculpted it, it was a matte cap. Remember, you can't paint in matte cap. I mean, you can add paint, but it's not going to look right. So you want to be in lit PBR. And right now I switched to a more neutral color, this orange. So I just selected everything here. And then to paint it, you just tap this little rounded cube. You can choose whatever color you want. And then just hit paint all, and that will change anything. And of course, you can go here and you can go to any individual. Let's see, we go to the mask and we want it yellow. We can just go to yellow, something like that, and then hit paint all. And then we have a yellow mask. So I'm just going to go back. So usually what I like to do is set the lighting first. So let's just start with the lighting and then we'll do the painting. So we'll tap this little sun here. Let's turn the environment off. Yours might be different. You can tap here and look at all the different environments. This is the ambient light. It's going to give your character a much different look depending on the ambient lighting. So these are HDRIs. Okay, I just used my own right here. But it doesn't really matter. We're going to turn it off by unchecking this. And now everything is completely black. And that's how we want it. That's actually a really nice silhouette. So if we go back to this little sun, we can add our first light. Now remember, I've hit front here, so I'm looking at the very front. And when I add the first light, it kind of shows up. You can see the light is here, and this little white arrow is pointing this way. So this is the direction that this light is going. So this light is a directional light. So the only direction that matters is the way that this white arrow is pointing. So you can see this light is in the mirror, or it's here, or it's here. It doesn't matter as long as this arrow is pointing. So if you take your gizmo and then you rotate it, that's when the light changes. Okay, so let's take this light, and I like to move them in the general area where the light is coming from. It's coming from here. I put the light on the top over here. If you lose it, if you click something else, just go back here and let's see. There's a place that you can do, you can have the light icons show. But where is that? Lights? Oh, there's the lights. Oh, here we go. If you tap there, then you can see the light icons. That was like so hidden for me. So this one is the key light. Key, so you just tap on this little pencil here and just name that one the key. The key is just the main light in the scene. That's where like most of the light is coming from. So let's turn the intensity up. You can tap here and turn the intensity up, or you can just go down here to this nifty little menu. Whoops. Okay, go away. And I'll turn the intensity up to maybe 2.3 or so. 2.4, 2.5, around there. This is a pretty good brightness. Let me make sure it's not too bright. So that looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. Let's tap these three dots and hit camera. So what that does, without getting too confusing, later on if we do a turntable, it'll just turn the character. It won't rotate the character and rotate the lights. So if you hit camera, the lights will stay in their place, which is what I like. So now we have the key. Let's clone it. You can see it's double the brightness now, but we're going to change this to edge. So this light's going to be on the very edge of this side. So we have one light that's a bit brighter lighting up over here. You can see the shadows here. So we're going to have some light, dark, and then a really crisp edge, a really bright light on the edge. So let's move this one here, move it down. We go to our light. We'll put on our light icons just so it makes more sense. So now we can rotate this light until we get that nice edge. There we go. We can kind of see it. I'll rotate it up a little bit. Rotate it this way. So you can see the arrow sort of pointing right at us. So that looks beautiful. So now we'll just raise this up a little bit, maybe to like 5 or 6, around there. Okay, so those are our 2 lights we have so far. So another light that I like to add, so we have edge. Let's just add a new light. Let's go ahead and tap here and change it to camera. And let's rename it. Whoops. Let's rename it R2. That's what I always name this light. I'll move it over. And I wanted it to be a little bit on this side, not quite another edge, but a little bit more, something like that. Maybe we'll point it. Oh, that's good. I want to make this one a little cooler. So by cooler, I mean I'm going to change the light to be a little more blue. So we tap this color here, and you can go to blue, and then you can just move it over, and it just gives it a little bit of a blue hue. Maybe we'll make it a little bit brighter so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. So on this side, so this side is blue. Let's do the opposite on the edge. Let's make that a little more orange. So we'll tap the light, we'll go to edge, and we'll go down to the color, and let's make that a little more orange. So I'll drag this over a little bit. So now we have that blue side and that orange side. That's just like a kind of like a little film and TV thing. If you might notice it in some films, beautiful scenes will be like sort of orange and blue. You know, there'll be like a night scene. The night will be kind of bluish, and then the lights that are on in this cute little, shack or something will be nice warm orange tones, things like that. I'm babbling now. Okay, so next let's add another light, and let's switch it up. Let's call this one D2, R2D2, get it? I say this in every tutorial. I probably need to stop. Let's change this light from a directional to a spotlight. So now we'll move this over. So this is a spotlight. So of course, you know how a spotlight works. You rotate it, and wherever that cone is pointing, that's going to be your light. Let's move it over so it's kind of pointing in the face. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe I want it a little more like, yeah, there we go, a little more like that maybe. And you can play around with these. This makes the cone a bit bigger, kind of thing. You can, let's see, what else can you do? You can make it a little softer, kind of thing. So lots of things like that. But I think that looks good. So I'm gonna save. Oh, and there's one thing that I might have. Okay, so the one last thing that I probably should have said before I started all this, but it doesn't really make that big of a difference. So I have post-process on. So you can see a little bit of difference there. That's when you go to this little shutter thing, you just turn post-process on. And here are my settings. If you want to check out my settings, I have this at 2, full resolution, post-process, reflection, global illumination. So you can kind of see, you can see what's happening. But yeah, that's the only difference. You can see it looks a little bit different. It's not as bright in some places. So just put post-process on. Just note that that's going to take a lot more resources from your iPad or your device. So if it starts slowing down, then do this sparingly. And if you need to go back and change something, turn this off if you need to go back and work on your character. Because if you have that on, it's just going to slow everything up and it's going to get more and more annoying. So let's save this little rascal. So now that we have the lighting, we can color it. And we already like the lighting, so then we can make sure that the color looks good in the lighting that we've chosen. That's why I do it in that order. So what colors do I want for this character? I kind of like blues and reds. kind of like that color. Oh, one last thing. Well, it's not really last, but let's go back to the sun and turn back on the environment. You can see it's very bright. So I'm going to turn this down to about there. Let me make sure I have let me turn to post process on, just because I forgot to turn on the environment, and I want to just make sure that it looks good. So I'm just turning this, lowering the exposure to make sure that the environment also looks good. You still want some shadows there, but this environment will kind of fill in a little bit just so it's not so dark. So there's without. You can see it's very, very black, but you can turn on the environment and just make it a little bit lighter so it's not super black. Okay, so, and I'm just going to leave this on because we're going to paint it and we want to see what it looks like when it's done painting. So the arms, maybe we'll paint the arms the same color. Maybe this can be, I kind of like this like red and blue for some reason. Maybe even these can be red. I don't know. This can be like, oh, I kind of like that. I kind of like it. Something like that. These would be black. So we'll go to black. I like the roughness. Well, maybe we'll make it a little shinier. The mouth will follow suit. These, what color do we want these? Maybe we'll use the yellow. So I just took this little eyedropper so you can grab the color with that. If you tap that, whoops. If you tap the eyedropper, then you can see, you can drag over and you can pick any of these colors. So maybe yellow, but I go really bright with it. Or I can always just do black, like the other ones. I think it looks nice. So now for these little dots, maybe we'll try blue first. We'll try red. Red's not going to look good because it's right next to those red things, even though I don't mind it. And now let's try yellow. So sometimes there's no right way to do it. You just have to experiment. I think I like the yellow. That looks good. All right, so I like the colors. So the only other thing that I would do if you want to get real fancy, you can use layers for this. So let's say the body, we go to the layers here, we add a layer, and let's say we call this darker. So that means that this is going to be a darker blue color. So let's take eyedrop, let's grab this blue, and then let's just go darker. And we'll go to our paint tool, bring it down a little bit, and I just want to paint it darker. Any areas where it's kind of coming into contact with something else. And I'm going to go here to the little shutter button and turn off post-process. We don't need it right now. Okay, so now I'm just going to make that darker. So you have the smooth tool here, and what you can do is tap it, clone it, and it'll show up down on the bottom, and just name it somewhere, name it something else. So if I clone it and name it smoothie, here is that. So it's the same tool. And make sure you hit save as well after you clone it and rename it. Just hit save. So we have this smoothie, but the only difference is this has intensity. This one has 0 intensity. See, 0. So they're both smooth tools. The one that has no intensity, you can actually smooth the paint, and it won't change. It won't change the topology, so it won't change like the underlying sculpt, so you won't mess up anything. Okay, so that looks pretty good. The only thing that'll make that smooth better is if the body was a lower resolution. So this is 101K, so it's a bit of a high resolution, so it smooths, but it would smooth better if it had a lower resolution. So there's 2 ways to do it. You can go, let's see, where are we at? You can go here, miscellaneous, and decimate. But if you have quad remesher, you can tap on quad remesher, And I'll just show you the wireframe so you can see what I'm talking about when I say density. So here's the density right here. I'm going to turn off symmetry. So we're using the wireframe just so you can see the topology. You can see all those little squares. So what I'm going to do is hit half. Well, first I'm going to save actually. And then hit half. So it's going to try to cut the resolution in half. So it's going to be a lower resolution. Okay, and you can see that looks much cleaner. Looks nice. So I'll turn the wireframe off. I'll go back to the view so I can see. I'm going to go back to my new smooth tool, which is the smooth tool with 0 intensity. And now I'll just smooth this out a little bit more. Whoops. Let's make sure we have symmetry on. I don't know why it turned off. So I'll just smooth this a little bit more. And I think that looks nice. So I'm going to continue to do that same thing around each of these shapes. You can also do the same process on other parts of the sculpt. So feel free to change the colors, experiment, and then you can add a darker element, any part where it touches or goes underneath a different part. Make sure you have symmetry on, or else you have to do everything twice, like I just had to do. So don't be a dum-dum like me. And if you're ever doing this and you feel like the shadow looks a little too dark and you just don't like it, the cool thing about layers is you can go to the layer, see how we have darker here, and you can adjust it. So here's without and here's with. So that's about it. That's our character. If you want to export the image, then just go to this little folder. I'm going to do a quick save first. You always want to save often. So just go to the little folder, go all the way down to render, and you can render the screen. I'm going to render this with a transparent background for now. And then you hit export PNG. So one quick thing, when you export PNG, it's going to count up to this number. So what that number is, let's see if it'll let me cancel. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So that number correlates to, in post-process, the quality max frame sampling, so 350. And also if you want to do a turntable, tap this little Nomad icon. Before I tap turntable, I swipe on the right and I hit screen record. So if you have if you're not using an iPad, then it'll be a little bit different, but I like to hit record now, and then I'll go back, hit turntable, and then we have the lovely turntable. So that's about it. I can't wait to see your sculpts. Tag me on Instagram at drugfreedave. The next video, I'm gonna bring this into Blender. So if you're interested in that, hang around, check out the next video where I bring this little character into Blender. Keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to go more in depth, then definitely check out my Skillshare classes where I am a top teacher. I have about 50 classes, both Procreate and Nomad Sculpt. I also have a few classes on Udemy, so if you want to learn more, or you just like my style, you like the way I teach, you want to support me, those are some other places that you can do it. Thanks again, keep drawing, keep sculpting. I'll see you all in the next video.